is another. Of course, people need financial advice on how best to go about their businesses to maximize on their profits. And now to get to know how the entrepreneurial spirit is doing here in East Africa and largely here in Kenya is Hannah Njoroge. To discuss this with me today is Hannah Njoroge from Ernst & Young, who will tell us all about how the entrepreneurship is going on in the country. Welcome to the show, Hannah.
Thank you, Liz.
Let's start off with what Ernst & Young does.
Thank you. Ernst & Young is a firm of a partnership, certified public accountants who deal with a variety of services, including audit. The traditional audit has been broadened and referred to assurance, which covers a range of services that as businesses grow or as an economy moves forward. There are many other services that they require to help them in taking care of their money than just the traditional audits that are required by under the Companies Act. We also have transaction advisory services, advising on various transactions, or when a company wants to buy a business, we do due diligence reports. We also assist in actuarial services and all the other services associated with the business. We also deal with the tax and related services, tax compliance, value-added tax, and human capital mobility. We have a lot of inbound expatriates who come into Kenya, or Kenyans and East Africans for that matter are also moving out of Kenya, out of East Africa to work in other areas. We assist to ensure that their tax matters are in order.
All right.
Yeah.
I know one of the biggest challenges for most companies is balancing their accounts in terms of what comes in and what they spend out. With your experience, what is usually the biggest challenge in most companies in terms of how they spend their money?
I think it is knowing what shilling relates to the business and what shilling has come from the pocket, and that is the balancing act that needs to be reconciled, because by the end of the day, when a business has done so much sales, you need to go back and look at the what cost has gone into me making these sales, not just the product that you have sold, but also the expenses into ensure that that product or service is sold. And when you are able to balance that, then you'll be able to know whether you are making business or not. And this is where a firm like Ernst & Young comes in to assist the business, because we also need specialized expertise that is not necessarily with the business or the entrepreneur.
All right. I know most of the time we are told that not to expect the first 2 years or the first 8 months to make whooping profits. Yeah. When do you know a business is doing bad? I know sometimes when you're starting out, you have to succumb to some losses, but when do you give up?
Okay, I think the issue here is as a person who is aspiring to move forward, giving up should not be a vocabulary in a businessman's language. But you can always be able to tell when you are doing business, because the first year, depending on the nature of business, may not always be loss making. You also have to understand the kind of business that you are doing. That is, if you are, for example, you are doing a more capital intensive project which requires a lot of capital outlay, then you will be required to put in a lot of money at the beginning, while later on maybe the profits will come much later on. There is something called payback period, so you have to look at the project you are doing. If you are doing a simple job of cash job, then probably the returns will come in much faster.
I know capital is one of the issues that most people would love to get into business, but they always find capital to be an issue, and this is mostly because sometimes people, maybe without enough research, figure out they need a very huge amount of money. And we have people who say, I started my business with 3,000 shillings in terms of capital.